between Moshe and the angels. So, we know that when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shemayim to get the Torah, he had a little bit of a problem because the angels said, they wanted the Torah. And he said to Hashem, why are you giving it to the Jewish people? We are closer to you. We're here in heaven. Torah is such a precious Torah. You should give it to Jewish people. Just give it to us. So Moshe had to to answer them. Hashem said to Moshe, answer them. And Moshe said, how I'm going to answer them? They could burn me with a fire in the mouth. And Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu, hold on to my phone and answer them. Answer the angels. So I'm going to try to do this here. Share this screen here. And 1 second. And I'm going to see if I could pull this on the screen. Give me just a second here. Try to do this. First time I'm doing this on Zoom.
You're trying to share a screen?
Yeah, what I'm trying to pull up from a document from my drive and share it with you guys.
Yeah, that has to be already opened up before you can share it.
Let me open, and I have the document here in the computer. Just this 1 second here. Let me see. This. Okay. Hold on. Second. I'm gonna get here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So let it open. Okay, so I have it open now. Now the question is, how do so I have it open as a PDF.
Okay, so what you do is you go down to the bottom, it'll say share screen. If you click on that, it'll take you to a screen which will ask you if you want to share it or not.
Share screen, share, right? Okay. So now you just have to go to the document. You see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So
good job.
Thank you. Is it clear enough? Is it clear enough?
Yes.
Need to make it bigger. Okay. So Richard, you want to read this?
When Moses ascended on high, the ministering angels asked the Holy One, blessed be he, Master of the world, what is one born of a mother doing among us? God told them he came to receive the Torah. You just made it more difficult for me, Rabbi. I can't read it that small.
Hold on 1 second. Let me see what Let me see what I'm doing here.
Well, click on it. If you would click on the document. No, apparently it's not. Oh, there you go.
I'm just trying to make it bigger. Okay. Is that bigger now? Is it bigger now?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. All right. I hope that's a little easier now. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And Moses responded before God, the Torah which you are going to give me. Oh, I'm sorry. God told him he came to receive the Torah. The angels protested, the Torah is a hidden treasure, and you desire to give it to flesh and blood. What is man that you shall remember him? Place your glory in the heavens. The Holy One, blessed be he, told Moses, provide them with an answer. And Moses responded before God, the Torah which you're going to give me, what is written in it? I am God, your Lord, who took you out of Egypt. Moses told the angels, did you descend to Egypt? Were you enslaved to Pharaoh? Why should the Torah be yours? And he continued telling them, what else is written in it? You shall have no other gods. Do you live among idol-worshipping nations? And furthermore, what is written in the Torah? Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Do you labor on the weekdays to rest on the Sabbath? Thou shalt not utter the name of God in vain. Do you have business dealings where you must take an oath? Honor your mother and father. Do you have a mother and father to honor? Thou shalt not kill, etc. Is there any jealousy among you? Do you have an evil inclination? How can injunctions such as the prohibitions against murder, adultery, stealing, lying, and coveting be for you? You do not have an evil inclination that tries to draw you to commit acts of that nature. When the angels heard this, they immediately admitted to God that his intentions were correct.
So it's a very interesting thing that the angels said, a very interesting answer that Moshe gives them. So it's all a court case going on here, and God is the judge, and the litigants are Moshe and the angels, and they have to be the one deciding. God has to be the one deciding who's going to get it. Moshe Rabbeinu to the Jewish people, or the angels. So that Moshe Rabbeinu is, have a very good. The Moshe has a very good claim here. The question is, that the angels did not just have an objection for no reason why they should be receiving the Torah. They had a serious objection, and their objection, was based on the Jewish law, based on the Jewish law here. And the question is, since we know that God is committing himself to the Jewish law as well, and here God is serving as the judge, and he has to judge according to the Jewish law who has the right to the Torah, the angels or the Jewish people, or Moshe to take it for the Jewish people. So the angels must have a very valid claim based on halacha, otherwise why should I give it to them? Because we know, we're saying in the prayer every day, that God is Magid Varav LiYaakov, Chukav u'Mishpatav LiYisrael. God relates his law to the Jewish people, to Yaakov, and his laws and statutes to the Jewish people. Meaning it's his laws and his statutes, meaning that he is the one who is also committing himself to follow the laws and the statutes in the Torah as well. So God, and that's why God keeps Shabbos. It says God sees on the day of Shabbos, and that's why we seize on the day of Shabbos. There was a story with a heretic who told Jewish people, there was a discussion with Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, and Rabbi Akiva went to Rome, and they say the ways of God is not like the way of men. Men tell someone something to do and he doesn't, but God tells us something to do and he follows it. So there was a heretic there who told him, no, you guys are lying. You said God is following his own words. Why doesn't God keep Shabbos? So what do you mean? Why did he say that God doesn't keep Shabbos? He says you're not allowed to carry in Shabbos, and God's carry the reins from heaven to earth on Shabbos. It's a public domain. You're not allowed to carry in a public domain on Shabbos. So they told him, you're such a wicked man. Doesn't a man allowed to carry in his own domain? He said, yes, in your own domain, your public domain, you're allowed to carry in Shabbos. They said, God carries in his own domain on Shabbos because the whole world belongs to God. So he's not really carrying in Shabbos. So he keeps Shabbos. So what is the validation here based on halacha, Jewish, for them wanting the Torah? Why do they say, why do they want the Torah? What's there for them? And so let's see what are they based they claim on in halacha, and we'll see, are they right? And if what Moshe told them is wrong. We have a judge here, Judge Hirsch. So I don't know what happened to Robert today. He said with beer. Last week he told me he couldn't be there. And so the question is that, what's happening here with their claim and who is right. So let's read number 4 and 5, a quote from Maimonides, so we can understand why did the angels, what validity their claim had according to the Jewish law. Okay, read 4 and 5. Willem, you want to read? Are you able to read?
Sure, but I think, did you take the document off the screen?
Richard, do you see the document?
I can see the document.
Oh, I can see it again. Hold on, I can see it again. Okay, all right. 4. If one of the brothers or partners sells his portion to a third party, the other brother's partners may force the third party to accept payment for that portion and thus relinquish ownership of it, so that a stranger does not enter amongst them. Furthermore, well, that's a right of first refusal. Furthermore, if one sells real estate to a third party, a neighbor whose property adjoins the property being sold may force the third party to sell his property, even if the seller did not wish to sell to the neighbor, whether he sold it directly or through an agent, or it was sold by a Beth Din, the law of Ben Metzar applies. Even if the buyer was a highly respected scholar to whom honor was due, and a relative, and the next door neighbor was an ignoramus and not a relative, nonetheless, the neighbor takes precedence. The reason for this is because of the verse in Deuteronomy 6:18, "You shall do what is good and proper in the eyes of God." Said the sages, since it makes no difference to the seller, he gets his money either way, but the next door neighbor benefits more by having contiguous property than someone who does not already own property next door. Therefore, it is good and proper to give him precedence.
So, what's going on here is I have a property. Okay, so I have we went to Chabad house. We have the Chabad house property, and we have a nice backyard, and then we have another property. Okay, now the neighbor next door to me wants to sell his house in the backyard, which is adjacent to the Chabad house. And he goes and sell it to someone. He doesn't even tell me anything about it. Doesn't offer me to buy it. I have the right to kick that buyer out, to pay him the money that he's paid, and to take the land for myself. Why? We're talking about fields. Obviously, this is fields here, because since I have a field here, therefore, it's in my interest to have another field, so all my field on one place. So I don't buy a field if I want to acquire another field for myself to plant more vineyard or whatever I'm planting. If I'm going to have to go across the street, it's not convenient for me. So there is something in Torah that's called you should follow and do what's just and what's right. And this is the base also to the law that if two people come to you to court, to a church, and they say, one said, they're fighting about something. The Torah always encourage you to try to make a settlement and to get them to settle before you go and issue the legal ruling. The best thing is that if they are able to settle among themselves and compromise and come to an agreement that are both happy. So again, it's the same thing here, because it says the Deuteronomy should do what is just and right. So here, that neighbor didn't have a problem. Wouldn't be losing anything from selling his field to his next door neighbor. So that guy who comes and buy a field there, he can buy it elsewhere. So, therefore, he has the right to kick the guy out and pay him and whatever, so he doesn't lose any money, and buy the field. The same thing apply here to the angels in heaven. The angels in heaven said to God, who is the neighbor of the Torah? We, not the Jewish people. The Torah is in heaven. The Torah is God's holy words. God's holy words, are closer to us. So based on this law, they came and they said, we have the right to the Torah, the right of first refusal, before you sell it, before you give it to the Jewish people. So they had a good claim. If you are the judge and you have to make the ruling, they come up with a very good claim here. So what? Now, if we go back to what Moses told them, what was Moses' claim based on? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu tell them that they shouldn't get the Torah?
It wasn't intended for them.
Right? They're not live in heaven. They don't have even inclination. What the Torah says doesn't apply to them. But based on Moses' answer, did he address anything about the angels' validity of their claim to the Torah? Of what they claiming here, that we have the right, because the Torah is spiritual, we are more spiritual than the Jewish people, we are the neighbors of the Torah? Moshe didn't seem to address this at all. The opposite. Moshe Rabbeinu is making even a strengthening the questions in the angels. Moshe Rabbeinu tells the angels that, he says that the Jewish people are, based on what he said in the beginning, the Jewish people are farther from the Torah. They live here on earth. They have a little inclination. They have they need to work on themselves to honor the father and mother, not to steal, not to murder, and so on and so forth. So Moshe Rabbeinu is just strengthening the angels' claim that the neighbors of the Torah and the people that are closer to the Torah are really the angels, not the Jewish people. So they should have the right to get it. So how come that based on this answer that Moshe gave them, God said to give them the Torah? It seems like God is violating his own halacha, his own Torah, the laws of Maimonides, which is based on the Talmud, to sell the property to the next door neighbor. You guys want to suggest any answer?
I'm getting lost.
So
Why-
what do you
I'm
get
sorry.
lost in?
No, that's okay. I'm trying to clarify why this is a right of first refusal.
Because they have the right to refuse for the sale, because they are next door neighbors. And we just quoted in halacha in Maimonides. The Maimonides says if your next door neighbor sell his yard, since you are the neighbor, you have the right of refusal for this sell, and you could kick the buyer out and buy it yourself. So the angels, they are the Torah's neighbors, so they should say, sorry, kicking you out, you can't get the Torah. We have the right of first refusal because we are the Torah's neighbors. It's right in heaven. You're trying to take it away from us. We are the neighbors of the Torah, so we have the right to refuse for the sale.
So the part that I think I'm either missed or don't understand is, why wouldn't the angels already have the Torah if they're in the firmament with God?
It's a very good question, William. Because the Torah you could have if you commanded the power of the mitzvah to connect to God through the Torah and to do something that God wants, is if you're commanded on it. If you're not commanded on it and doing it voluntarily, it's a nice thing, but it doesn't have the same power as it is a commandment, because it's harder to do something which you commanded on, and wasn't given to them. They could do, they could do whatever they want, but they're not commanded to it. They didn't get it. It's not theirs. They wanted it to be theirs. They wanted to be something. They wanted to be connected to God through the Torah. The angels are not connected to God through the Torah. The Jewish people are. when the Jews study Torah, when we study Torah here, which by the way, I was actually thinking about it the other day, which is very impressive to, for you guys to take time during, such a busy day to come and study Torah. It's very powerful. It says that the Mincha prayer is the most powerful prayer that there is. Why? Because it's the middle of the day and we have to stop our business that we're doing to pray. So when we stop in the middle of the day, take a 30 minutes or so to study Torah, it's very powerful because it's just making the point to Hashem saying, we know that you are more important than everything else. So they were not commanded on it. So it's not theirs. And they wanted it to be theirs. So how do we address this question? Let's see, there's certain exception to the laws of this right of first refusal to the sale of the property. In this case, we call it in Talmud, the bar matzvah, the one who is bordering here, the next door neighbor. And one of them is if it's a gift. If I decide, if my next door neighbor decide to give his land as a gift, his property is a gift to someone, then I don't have the right of first refusal. Or if he sells it to a relative of M, I also don't have the right of first refusal. And also if he sells it to his partner, and also it only applies this law on a field, okay? So you take all of these things and you say, A, God decided, we're not talking about a sell here. God was not selling the Torah to the Jewish people. He was giving it to them as a gift. So he has the right to choose what to give it as a gift. We are God's relatives. We are God's children. So relatives is more preferred than a stranger, even though the angel is not a stranger, but doesn't say that the angels are God's children. They're God's servants, but not children. Also, we are partners to God with the creation. When God created the world, it says, Asher bara Elokim la'asot, that God has created to do. And to do means to fix it. To be partner in fixing God's world. So we are partners, and as a partner, the angels don't have the right of first refusal. And also the Torah is not considered property. The laws of this law of first refusal applies only on property, not on something that I have on the property. If I have some things on my property and on the next door neighbor's property and you sell them, I can't say, well, I got the right of first refusal because I live next to you and you have this beautiful grill on your property, so you should sell it to me first. That doesn't apply. Only apply by a land because it will be the right thing to do to sell it to the neighbor. And the Torah is not property. But all of these things don't go along with the answers that Moshe gave them. Moshe did not say any of this. He didn't say the Torah is a gift. He didn't say the Torah, we are God's children. Moshe said that the Torah is not for angels who don't live here on earth. The Torah is for us who live here on earth and have to deal with challenges that are only apply here on earth. So there's another case when the laws of the bordering neighbor of right of first refusal do not apply. And we'll conclude with this idea. When the person wants the property when the neighbor wants the property in order to plant in the property, to plant in the field. He wants the field in there to plant seeds, to plant whatever. The buyer who comes from elsewhere wants it so he could live in there and build himself a house. Who would be right? So what do you think? If the neighbor wants to sell it to somebody his next door neighbor wants it for planting, and the buyer who comes from a stranger, he wants it to build a house to himself. who should have the right of first? What would the right of first refusal apply then or not? Like, I mean, who is better? Who would prefer? Do we prefer the guy who wants to plant, or we prefer the guy who wants to build a house?
I could make an argument both ways. I would say that the guy who wants to build a house is someone who is in the process of becoming self-sufficient, and then hopefully if he follows the law as well, he will help others become self-sufficient. So that's a worthy goal. And of course, on the other hand, if the neighbor wants to plant and he's able to produce more food and feed more people, that's a worthy goal.
So you're looking at where we can help more people, right? It's very good. It's a very interesting way of looking at it. It's very, very valid point. Richard, anything you think about?
Oh, I agree with that analysis. I mean, both of them are productive uses of the property.
So the laws of the first refusal does not apply if the neighbor wants to plant things in it. Why? Because of the settlement of the land of Israel. That we prefer the guy who wants to settle the land and build homes in there, because we want the land not to be isolated. We want the land to be not to be desolated. We want the land to be full of people want to settle the land of Israel. So in that case, when the neighbor, when the stranger who is coming from a different place wants to buy it, for settling the land, and the other guy wants it for planting, we go with the guy who wants to settle the land. We're not concerned with what the neighbor wants to do here, and the fact that the neighbor is closer, and it'll be more convenient for him to have a landline next door. Now, if we take it a step further here to about the Torah and the angels, who needs the Torah to settle the world, and who needs the Torah to plant? The angels or the Jewish people?
Well, the Jewish people would be the settlers.
Why?
Well, because they're bringing the Torah down to this plain earth and instituting its laws here among the physical world.
And that's true. That's the answer. The answer is that the Torah was given so we can make God a dwelling place in this world. That's why God gave the Torah on earth. The Torah guides us in a day-to-day, and the Torah is a book of instructions for us. And that can only happen through the Jewish people, not through the angels. So basically what we learn from this is that the Torah was given to us, not to the angels. And we have what we're celebrating in Shavuos, this holiday on Friday, we're celebrating the fact that God gave us the ability to be his partners in making the world a better place, preparing it for the coming of Mashiach. When we study Torah, we do a mitzvah. Every mitzvah that we do, Torah that we study, helps bring Mashiach. And we have to make sure that the Torah should not be left on the bookshelf. We have to make sure that we bring the Torah into our life, into our workplaces, into our homes, into the lowest places, everywhere. Torah has something to say for every aspect of our life. How we get up in the morning, how we go to sleep, how we conduct ourselves doing work, how we conduct ourselves in relationships with friends, and so on and so forth. We have to make sure that we adapt ourselves to the Torah, that we take the Torah and we apply it to our life. And we let the Torah guide our life. A person could say also, that's one aspect. The second aspect is a person could say that doing mitzvahs is impossible. So we tell them the Torah was not to angels. The Torah was given to a human being here on earth, like me and like you. And if Hashem gave us the Torah, didn't choose the angels, gave it to us, it shows that we could do it. And nothing is too hard, nothing is too difficult, nothing is too far from us. And we have the ability to do it, so we need to do it. And as we're getting ready to celebrate Shavuos, let us remember, let us think how we could increase our connection with the Torah, how we could take the Torah and apply it more to our life. And one simple way of doing it is obviously by continuing our studies and getting more people to come and study Torah together. Especially when we study, one of the best ways to bring the Torah to our workplaces is when we take a lunch break during the day, during a busy day, and we are taking the time to study Torah. It's a beautiful way how we bring it into our daily life, how we bring it into our workplaces, not something only we have to go to the synagogue to do it. It could be actually part of our life. Anything else anybody wants to share?
No, I'm good, but I will say I'm glad you brought that home.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. That's that. The Rabbi teaches always to bring it home, to always make sure how to make it practical. That was one of the beautiful things the Rabbi did. He would take the Torah and he would make it very relevant and very practical into our life. And it is very relevant and it is very practical. Sometimes it takes efforts to how to take an ancient wisdom and apply it into our life. And the Rebbe is doing it so beautiful with his discourses, and that's what we study today. Is one of the Rebbe's discourses about the holiday of Shavuot, and it's beautiful. The other day we had a class all about the how through the Torah and the mitzvahs we're connecting to God's essence, and so beautiful. The secret of the Torah, about the secrets of Shavuot, and it's literally sweet. Torah is so sweet, and it's so meaningful, and it's so much for our life. It's like God created a puzzle, this big puzzle. Think about it, 10,000 pieces puzzle, or 10 million pieces, or whatever. Okay, and the puzzle, when you look at all these pieces, you get them in a bag, or you get them in a box, or whatever, or the pieces are spread, let's say, all over your backyard, and it's a mess. It's a broken thing. Now, once it's put together and you look at it, it's like, wow, it's beautiful. I remember not long ago, somebody sent me, he took a video from the first floor. You look at bunch of pieces of garments that seem to be completely not connected to one another. It seems to be like nothing. And then you go into the second floor and you see how it all becomes such a beautiful picture. An artist that put, from all these pieces of garment and everything, and it all makes sense. Essentially, with the world looks broken. It looks like so many pieces that don't make any sense, and here, this and that. The way to make sense out of that, the way to bring it all together, is by studying Torah and by living our life based on the Torah and the mitzvahs. Then everything makes sense and everything falls into place, and it becomes beautiful. Obviously, there's some things that are above our understanding that are difficult for us to understand and see, but when we study Torah and apply the Torah into our life, everything is coming together. So you have a happy Shavuot. May Hashem help us to celebrate this Shavuos in Jerusalem, and Mashiach will be an end to the suffering of the people in the world. And Mashiach comes, it'll be a good time, no evil in the world. And until then, the one more mitzvah to bring Mashiach, if you feel safe enough to go to shul to hear the 10 Commandments where they have them. A bunch of places have them done in a safe way. Not, you read the 10 Commandments, you read the Torah at home on Friday, and have a wonderful Shavuos and Mashiach now.
Same to you, Rabbi. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Rabbi.
All right. Take care.